is Kanchan Chander. This is the second episode of the series Mixed Media with Art, etc. So this time we're going to talk about Frida Kahlo. Frida Kahlo has impacted the society quite a lot, of all the generations, whether it's youngsters, whether it's seniors, whether it's budding students. Everybody has always loved Frida Kahlo. She is such an important personality. She's a very important personality, an important artist that you cannot miss. So she's left a huge amount of impact in the society, in the Western society and the Asian society. She's basically global. She is universal. Well, she has a lot of art researchers, artists, senior youngsters have been inspired by her and her works, and they have made works based on her life, on her art, and on her. She's been a source of inspiration for many and for many generations. So she's left a huge impact on the society. People admire her, people have done research on her, there are scholars who have done research on her. So she's somebody who is extremely important in the history of art. For me, I don't know if she's a muse, but for me, Frida Kahlo has been very important because as a student, I've always admired her, always loved her works, always found very strong statements that she wanted to give as an artist and as a woman in her works. So she left a huge impact in me and my works during my college days, during the days when I was a young artist. But it was later on that when I traveled and I saw her original works in different museums. Unfortunately, I haven't been to Mexico in my senior age. I was there as a child, but of course they didn't know much about Frida Kahlo at that time. So it was the movie I saw on her life and on her art that really moved me, inspired me to do a series called Frida and Me and Frida. In this series, I basically have a bigger image of Frida Kahlo and me as a tiny person, maybe on her neck or on the side. So I just feel that I'm just a drop of ocean compared to her. I have interpreted her in my work by very recently I've done a painting where I have made a goddess with one face of Frida on one side and one face of Amrita Shergill on the other side. So it's very rarely that I do her in physical painting, but I have done a lot of mixed medias on Frida Kahlo. I do research, I do whatever I want to add and subtract in the Photoshop, and once it's done, I take out a printout and paste it on a little stiffer surface and start embellishing it. So I use elements from daily life, which even she used to use. Frida was a very strong person, a very strong personality, a very strong not only physically but strong emotionally and psychologically. She suffered a lot of pain in her life. She had physical pain. She used to be on bed for a long time. So unfortunately, I don't have that in my life. But she had a lot of emotional pain also, not being close to her husband, being away from him. So she was such a strong personality that she even painted while she was in the hospital and on the bed. I mean, that's so gutsy of anybody to do that. So she would paint from there, and all these things which I saw in the film, and of course it was acted by Salma Hayek, who did a beautiful job, beautiful acting she did. It really impacted me, and I just feel that what she went through in her personal life and how she brought it out onto the canvas, um, doing the autobiographical works, I relate to that very much. And I also do a lot of works which are autobiographical. So usually when I'm doing mixed medias on Frida Kahlo, I have her. Uh, it's mostly colorful because I feel Frida was always color, and I always add elements which are related to her, whether it was animal or monkey or a gorilla or fruits, which she did very often with fruits. So these are the elements which I relate to, which of course one can interpret a lot of them. They are in a way quite symbolic. Frida Kahlo used a lot of kitsch elements in her works. She would add, like I mentioned earlier, she would add animal form, she would add twigs, barren trees, fruits, flowers, objects which were around her. So, this is something which she would incorporate in her works very often. It would become like a kitsch. So that's where I see there is a lot of similarity in her work and my work, where I use a lot of kitsch, whether it's my digital artworks or whether it's my mixed medias, and also now in my pure paintings, I use a lot of people very often scholars and art critics title my work as kitsch. So it's the kitsch element, I think, which we both, incorporated in our works. And though she led a very lonely, sad life, her works were colorful. Probably her life was so dark that she just wanted to add colors to it. That's where I also relate, and I love colors. My works are booming with colors. So I just personally relate a lot to that. I think students see her differently in different countries, from the culture they have been brought up with, and um, they interpret and they sort of like juxtapose images of Frida Kahlo onto their own works. She has, I mean, if you search, there are so many young and senior artists done based who have done works based on her life, on Frida Kahlo. They have interpreted it, they have been inspired by it. So she is a very, very universal, global personality. There are researchers who have done a lot of work on her, and everybody who usually does a research on women artists, it's very rare that the name of Frida Kahlo will not be mentioned in that. It will be mentioned always. She's always mentioned in that. I have a small incident which I would like to share. That I had been teaching students in the College of Art, and later on I helped them do their portfolios to get admissions. So the students who have gone to different countries have kept in touch with me. We are like a joint family. So whenever they travel and they see some sort of a small souvenir uh, based on Frida Kahlo, they always pick it up and bring it to me, and it really, really sort of touches my heart that they relate me and Frida together, and they always get me something. They'll probably get me a brooch, or they'll get me a pendant, or they'll get me a booklet with a Frida um, printed on the top. So this is actually very moving. I just feel that this is the best gift I can get, and from students who love me all over the world. um, I think it's a good feeling that you get. And also, in terms of collecting, there are collectors who relate to Frida Kahlo. So I've had collectors from Sweden, from Germany, from US, who have picked up works uh, on this Frida and Kahlo series. So it's nice to know that it's not only the Indians, but it's also the global um, art connoisseurs who like to pick up these works. I hope you have enjoyed these short episodes, and this one especially on Frida Kahlo. Um, Please do keep in tune and look at the next episode that I shall be doing, the last one, which shall be coming up very soon. Thank you very much.